You're listening to Reignite, a podcast about betrayal. I'm MJ.
And I'm Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
Let's get into it. During this section, the elusive man sends Shepard to investigate a collector ship that was disabled by a Turian patrol. Shepard makes a few strange discoveries while exploring, such as, this is the same ship responsible for missing colonists on Horizon, as well as for the destruction of Normandy SR-1. Shepard also discovers that the collectors are basically leftover Protheans from the last Reaper sweep. After a spooky trek through an abandoned ship, Shepard and squad walk directly into a trap that the elusive man knew about. Shepard must then fight their way off of the ship and back to the Normandy, where they can question the elusive man and his actions.
Oh, surprise, surprise. The elusive man was elusive again. It's like it's in his name.
What? Betrayal? Gasp. In my good Christian suburbs?
Before we get into our check-ins, in the continuing adventure that is Matt doesn't remember Mass Effect 2, his favorite game, which is actually starting to bother me at this point because I'm starting to worry that it's my memory that's going and not the fact that I haven't played it in a while. But either way, I thought this mission was one of 3 different things, though I discounted one of them pretty quickly. At first, I was like, oh, is this the part where spoiler happens? No, it can't be. It's too early, and it wasn't that. Then I was like, oh, is this the point where we get our last party member? Nope, not that either. Oh, now I remember. It's a trap.
You have to message me off mic and tell me what it was you thought it was the first time.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, and so I'm getting frustrated with myself just because, again, on my best of lists, this is towards the top, but I haven't been playing it a lot lately. I think part of it is, I don't have a 360 anymore. I got rid of my 360 copies of Mass Effect. I've been playing it on PC, and I just don't love how it feels on PC. I get the sense that when we get to Andromeda, whether I love it or only like it, because I doubt I'll hate it. I'm pretty lenient unless, mechanics are really terrible. But I'll play that multiple times just because it'll be on a console. I hold out hope that either next-gen PlayStation and Xbox or this-gen Nintendo Switch gets the full trilogy.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I mean, with the pattern of the Nintendo Switch releasing older games on it because they can, famously The Witcher 3 coming out, which is a graphical powerhouse and has been found a way to run smoothly on the Switch. I'm hoping they can do the same for the Mass Effect trilogy, but it remains to be seen as there are 0 BioWare games on the Switch. So, it's hard to know, but I'm hopeful. But enough about my terrible memory. Let's get into our check-ins.
All right. Before we do, I wanted to talk about 2 specific emails. I know we don't usually focus on emails because they're kind of whatever, but there were 2 that really stood out to me this time around.
Okay.
There's an email from Tally's dad that essentially says, I will fuck you up if my baby gets hurt.
Yep.
And it made me laugh really, really hard because he's like, I'm sure you'll take care of Tally as a member of your crew, and the Admiralty Board will not need to intervene.
Yeah, he's doing the classic protective dad over his little girl, which, like I get there's a sense of chauvinism to it, but also being an uncle and watching my brother, who is typically not particularly chauvinistic, react that way sometimes with his own daughter. Like, I get that part of it is a sense of pride and wanting to protect someone too. So, it's a complicated feeling. I don't think we can just write it off as chauvinism, but I do find it funny that he's pretty much using the weight of the Admiralty Board to protect his daughter.
See, I don't see it as chauvinistic, and that's probably because I'm playing as FemShep. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's more like, I will fuck you up if my daughter gets hurt. Right. It's more like, I am so protective of her. She means everything to me. Do not let anything bad happen to her.
Right, and which is pretty much what I'm saying too.
To me, it's a little more endearing.
Yeah.
Because it's like, he can't bring himself to actually say, please take care of my daughter. He has to phrase it and couch it in these very official terms because he has to be a member of the Admiralty Board and not Tally's dad.
Yeah, for sure.
the second email that I wanted to talk to you about was this Solarian named Jert, Jeirt. Definitely had a queer awakening thanks to Thane.
Yeah, it's so weird too. Just because, like, I've never noticed this before, but I definitely did this time.
It made my queer little heart so happy. He goes, I'm going to find something that lets me capture what I saw in him, that beauty, that aesthetic perfection. And I'm just like, yeah, my dude. That's how I feel whenever I see a hot punk girl walk down the street. Like, I feel that in my deep, deep queer heart.
Yeah, anyone who's following me on pretty much any form of social media knows I've been feeling that with Claude, the head of the Golden Deer in Fire Emblem Three Houses, which, by the way, longer discussion offline, but, like, this is a Switch game you might need to get. I'm just saying.
I'll think about it.
But
I have no time to live.
But that said, yeah, I think that it's really interesting to get that in an email that in the past I probably just overlooked because I'm like, this is just triggered by you rescuing him. So, like, as long as you rescue him, which I often do, I just never noticed this before. Which it's interesting having a wider range of vision to see more things, being able to notice something like this.
Yeah. Okay, let's actually talk about the check-ins. Joker doesn't really have a lot to say, though I find it interesting that he's so focused on old times. Like, he's happy to see Tally, and he's just like, yeah, everything's just like the way it was before it was all terrible.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's a big mood, though, especially living in the U.S. as we are now, so, like, I can relate to that. But it is starting to show, like, I turned to Joker for a joke, and he's kind of at his wit's end a little bit also, just because we're running ragged all over the universe at this point.
Yeah. Nothing new between him and Edie.
Nope, just
Kelly
repeats on how he's fracturing his finger on the mute button, but he thinks he made his point.
Kelly says that Tally is not what she expected from the psych report, and I really want to know what the psych report said.
Yeah, and she also talks about how she feels bad for Tali and talks about how it must be a lonely life not being able to ever leave that suit and not feel the touch of another person and that kind of thing, which I thought was really beautiful, of course, the way Kelly phrases it, because everything she says is like that, is fairly poetic. But it also, it occurred to me, that kind of a thought, but not at the forefront of thought until Kelly brings it up, that, yeah, like, skin-to-skin contact is important for pretty much every kind of creature of any age, for any kind of relationship, not just sexual. And so, like, the isolatingness of it is, like, really obvious to me now as an adult who has sought all different levels of affection, not just romantic affection.
Yeah, platonic intimacy is also really important. One of the things that Kelly says is intimacy brings understanding. And we also get confirmation that she is definitely pansexual.
Yes. Yeah, she pretty much says that, aliens like anything else. Like, it's about the being, not so much the shape or form they take, which I also, like, I had my suspicions of that anyway, but it's cool to hear her pretty much say that.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically the difference between being pansexual and bisexual is, for Kelly, like, gender does not play a part in it. Like, alien species does not play a part in it. It is just, does she think that you're a good person? That's really what it comes down to.
Yep.
And probably also aesthetic.
Clearly.
She also lets us know a couple of things. Grunt needs an adult, first of all.
Yes.
Samara needs to talk to us, and Garrus got some news that put fire in his eyes.
It's funny, I didn't get Samara. I don't know why. Because when I checked in with her, she just said, we'll talk later.
Before we progress, let's point out that you couldn't go straight from Tally's rescue to the collector ship. We had to play 2 missions in between that were just, like, side missions.
Yeah.
And that's how we were able to trigger it. You had to play a total of 5 missions between Horizon and the collector ship in order to trigger it. So that was weird, and that kind of screwed us up a little bit in terms of check-ins, but we'll see what happens.
Well, for me, actually, it did allow me to catch up on check-ins with Thane, because smaller missions do trigger the check-ins that you need to progress through to get the loyalty missions. And so I, before going on one of the short missions, checked in with Thane and got the one that we had talked about last time that I just missed completely. And then after the small mission, went back to him to get the check-in that you probably got now as well.
Yeah, I have 2. I have like a 2-parter for him. Because this all hecked me up. This hecked me up real bad. I was very confused. Let's move over to Thane, actually.
Yeah.
Because both Jacob and Morden are like, can we go?
Yeah, can we do the thing we told you about like 10 missions ago, please? Like, they just don't want to talk to you anymore.
Let's see. So Thane has so many things to talk about. The Drell are just so fascinating. I love them so much. They're probably my favorite species.
They're not my favorite, but I do like Thane a lot as a character, and I am interested about his backstory. But they're not my favorite. That list goes kind of in a different direction.
He made his first kill at 12.
Yeah.
Which is intense.
Yeah.
But
well, it's funny.
Really
you say you made your first kill at 6, and he's like, no. I didn't make my first kill till I was 12. I was just training since I was 6. And like, Shepard is just dumbfounded.
Yeah, the Hanar need other species to kill for them, which, yeah, that makes sense.
Story checks out. Not everybody can be Blasto.
And while the Hanar are definitely responsible for Kepral's syndrome, they did rescue the Drell from extinction.
Which is kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it's helpful. It's good. I don't want to think about a world without our Drell. Thane does quote Thomas Hobbes at one point, and I kind of wish that the writers took an opportunity to create something new.
Yeah.
Like, it always strikes me as weird when aliens quote human philosophers and poets and writers. Like, this is an opportunity for you.
Yeah, but I would say, I would only argue with Thane is that he is someone who studies hard to do the things that he does, and him having a fascination with human culture, especially when interacting with a human, makes sense knowing his inner workings. But I do agree, it's like aliens have nothing better to do than study the humans because they have nothing else, and that seems a little shallow.
Yeah, and just, I think that it's kind of lazy writing to not come up with your own Drell philosopher. Like, you could say something similar and attribute it to a Drell philosopher, and Shepard could be like, oh, a philosopher from human culture said something similar, and just be like, oh, look at that weird similarity between our cultures.
Yeah.
Like, that's a thing you could have done, and you didn't do it, and it's a missed opportunity in my opinion.
That's fair.
Did you get to talk about how Drell have perfect memories?
So I guess I'm still a memory behind you. So I got to, at the end of that story, you ask him about something else, and then he slips into a memory that he doesn't want to divulge, and he talks about how he's sorry Drell slip into memory so easily, but he didn't elaborate, and he said that's enough for now. So I might still be a discussion point behind. I know that the game is set up in a way that you can catch up. And because of towards the end of the game, before the final mission, people have nothing to say for a few missions. So, like, you can catch up. I'm just still, I think, one check-in behind you at this point.
Yeah. Well, do you want me to talk about what?
Yeah, go for it. At this point, like, we are so more in-depth on this than any other podcast in our vein, which is fine. But so I think if we talk things out of sync a little bit, it'll be fine.
Okay. So Thane lets you know that Drell have perfect memories. Are you jealous, Matt?
I mean, a little, yeah. Human memory sucks. We deteriorate so fast.
They slip into solipsism, and they basically relive moments. And he got very intimate in one moment. I was just like, oh, is this the direction we're going already?
I
I'm
mean,
not sure if I'm there yet.
does he have a nickname for you yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
But also the drow can relive every mistake.
Yeah, that's rough.
Which, hi, I do that at 2 a.m. anyway.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I do that pretty often. I don't need perfect memory to help me with that.
Also, Thane believes that as an assassin, he is not responsible for the kill. He is a weapon, the way that your gun is a weapon.
Yeah, he considers himself, I mean, pretty much just what you said, and that the person pointing the weapon is responsible for the death, not him.
Yeah, I personally think that's irresponsible.
Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. I think that's a load
agree.
of hooey, but, also, like, we're working with Cerberus, so, like, our ability to call bullshit is limited at best.
Yeah, but I still am just like, I don't think you really understand consequences, my dude.
I mean, that said, though, if you consider yourself like a living weapon, like eventually you're going to get cold to that and you have to do whatever it takes to continue to do it. You're going to, your views may change, but it does, from the other end, talking to him about it, it does seem like laziness or a lack of responsibility.
He talks about sunset colored eyes again. He also says, I appreciate these chats we have. And he's such an introvert. He's like, I have not talked to someone in 10 years. Like, I haven't made a friend in 10 years. I was just like, oh no.
Yeah, I mean, him and Samara are similar in the way that, like, they don't really have friends. Their course of life isolates them. And they're both similar in the fact that, like, that doesn't seem to bother them that much. Like, they like talking to you and tell you as much, but also if they had to continue their life as is, it doesn't seem like it would faze them much.
Yeah. So I had the option to say to him, either it's never too late to change, or just a friend. Which I was so torn on, because on the one hand, I do like Thane. I would be down to flirt with Thane. However, he did just tell me that he hasn't made a friend in 10 years.
Right.
So I feel like I should just be your friend at this moment. Like, I think you need a friend more than you need someone to flirt with at this moment, my dude.
But while I care about your reasoning, I care more about your decision. So which did you pick?
Oh, I chose It's Never Too Late to Change.
Okay.
Because he needed friendship more.
Sure, totally.
So let's go over to Samara, which you did not get.
No.
Because something is weird. To me, Samara said, I'm glad you came. I must ask for your help. She recaps our meeting on Ilium, where she was tracking a criminal who goes by the name of Morinth. And she says, killing her has been my focus for 400 years.
Which is heavy.
Yeah. And she tells us about the Ardat Yakshi, which is a genetic defect amongst the Asari, where when they perform the mind meld, I guess it is. I forget what it's actually called. But when they do that, it's not a gentle, like, merging of minds. It completely overloads the partner's, like, nervous system and, like, completely fries them and can kill them.
Yeah. I don't remember what it's called. I just know every time Liara did it, she said embrace eternity. So.
Yeah. The Ardat Yakshi were previously worshipped as gods. At this point in time, only 3 exist. 2 of them chose to live a life of seclusion. The way that she describes Morinth makes her sound like a serial killer. She goes, like, from person to person, and she cannot resist the urge to kill.
Right.
And what Samara says is, this creature, this monster, she is my daughter.
Yep.
So we gotta help Samara kill her daughter.
Yeah, I have some forethought because I know I've done this before, but, like, what's interesting to me about the Ardat Yakshi is they're essentially framed as space succubuses.
Yeah.
Succubi.
Succubi.
Which is interesting because it's taking an old lore from human lore and like transitioning it to sci-fi, which I think is really cool. And there's an over-sexualization to those kind of demons and that kind of storyline. It's anything from fetishizing vampires, werewolves, that kind of thing. And so this is in that vein. And it's just interesting to me kind of how coldly Samara recants this information. Especially considering it's her daughter. You can tell that there's probably an undertone of pain, but you will never actually hear it from Samara.
Oh yeah, I tried to give her sympathy and like, wow, that's really difficult. I'm so sorry. And she says, I don't want pity. I don't ask for it. And I'm like, I'm not giving you pity. This sucks, dude.
Yeah, but I think she like because of who she is, she's hit this point where like any kind of softness towards this is not anything she wants because she has to stay hardened in order to do it.
Yeah. Then we get Garrus,
who finally wants to talk to us. Like, I get it, dude. You're calibrating. It's fine. But like, I haven't talked to you in ages. I just got you back. And like, I can't talk to you until you need something, which is fine. But like, as a friend, which is the only path I can take with Garrus, I'm a little annoyed. Like, shake my friend a little bit, kind of annoyed. But that said, we talk to Garrus and we find out that the person who killed his whole team and that he wants to get revenge on, he might have a lead on how to find him.
Yeah. This guy, Fade, helps people disappear, and Fade helps Sidonis disappear on the Citadel.
And so we have to go back to the Citadel to meet with Fade. He's already set up a meeting to see if we can find out where he went.
Yeah, just a refresher. Sidonis is the one that's distracted Garrus and told the Mercs where to find him and the rest of his team.
Yep.
And he's why Garrus's whole team was dead.
Yep.
Garrus says, you humans have an expression, an eye for an eye. He owes me 10 lives.
Yeah. It's like Garrus has always gone to dark places in the games up to this point, but like he is clearly suffering here and is focused on revenge, which is not unfamiliar to Garrus. Like he was like that in certain ways in the first game too.
Yeah, with Dr. Hart.
Right. But here, like, this is probably the most broken we've ever seen him, and the angriest we've seen him is when dealing with and discussing Sidonis.
Yeah. Like, 10 people that he worked with closely and cared for so deeply, like, were all killed all at once. Shortly after Garrus lost someone else that meant a whole lot to him.
Right.
Shepard. So, like, Garrus is not having an easy time.
No, definitely not. So that's another one of the loyalty missions, which we add to the list of loyalty missions we have coming out our ears.
Yeah. Kasumi has something cute to say about Joker and Edie. She says that they're like an old married couple.
Which, like, foreshadowing.
Yeah. Also, she says that someone on the CIC is like staring at her, and she goes, I'm used to people staring at my face or hands to see if she's stealing something.
Right, but she says this is different, you know.
Yeah.
He's like leering.
Yeah, and she says that she might have to start cloaking her way through the CIC. And I just want to be like, give me this guy's name. I will take it to HR.
Yeah, that is exactly the same thought I had. Like, who is this guy? Can I punch him? Because I'll punch him. Can I punch him?
Who is he? I'll talk to him. He's not going to do this anymore when Shepard says, like, what, are you harassing the female crew members? Are you making women on this ship feel uncomfortable? Because if so, I will drop you at the next port.
It's very funny to me that you went a very Paragon route in your thought, and I immediately went a Renegade route. I was just like, I'm going to punch things. Can I punch him? I'll punch him.
I will make him feel like shit with my words.
Yeah. But unfortunately, you don't get a name, and it's meant to just be passing, you know, flavor text, as it were, like a lot of the other things she says.
Though earlier, Crewman Matthews was standing up for sex workers, kind of.
I don't recall that.
He said that he had an appointment with
Oh,
Shayra.
yes, I do remember now. Yeah.
Yeah, and someone was like, "You're excited to go see an Asari hooker," and someone was like, "She's not like, no, don't say that."
Like, she's so many things you don't understand. Yeah, it was an interesting conversation. I do feel like, though, like, I would want more from that conversation. It felt a little cheap.
Oh, I agree. Like, it was just closer than we've gotten.
Yes, that's definitely true.
to respect for sex workers.
That is true. But now, most importantly, we have to go talk to my lizard son because he's having a hard time.
He needs an adult. He is so tense. He's full of pent-up rage, and he headbutts the glass and cracks it because he doesn't know what to do with himself.
And, like, Shepard's reaction is my reaction. The kind of like, oh, damn. Yeah, he feels this kind of boiling rage beneath the surface. He's not sure why. Like, it just makes him want to fight. And when he's in combat, he feels it release a little. If he feels it, kind of lessen. But the minute he's back on the ship, he feels it start to build up again. And he's not sure what it is or what to do. And you try and consult Edie. And Edie pretty much says the long and short of, dude, there's nothing like this. Like,
actually, I didn't consult Edie.
Oh, really?
I just said... Yeah, I said that we need a Krogan doctor. And Grunt replies with, "I won't ask you to go there," meaning Tachanka.
Right.
Which I thought was really interesting. It's odd because he wants to control himself and he doesn't want to inconvenience Shepard.
Right. Even though in other cutscenes, like, he's cut to the chase and even attacked Shepard in moments. So, like, for that one moment to be softer is really interesting. Yeah, I consulted Edie, and Edie's pretty much like, I have no idea, dude. Like, this is wholly original. Though more gracefully, because it was Edie. And then, essentially, this is where you get the loyalty mission to go to Tachanka to try and help Grunt. The mission is to go talk to whoever the elder is on Tachanka now and get some help.
He delivers this really good line as you're walking away. "Fury is my choice, not a sickness."
Yeah. Like, which is like to the core of the Krogan. Like, they use rage.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
They use rage as a weapon. And when it's uncontrollable like this, he doesn't feel like himself. It feels wrong.
Let's move over to Tally, who doesn't really have a lot to give us.
No, she just kind of talks about how everything that, like, just kind of readjusting. It is funny. When you walk by the two engineers, Kenneth pretty much says, asks Gabby what she thinks of their new boss, and he makes comments about Tali's suit and how snug it is, and Tali's like, "I can hear you."
I actually didn't get that interaction. I got Ken saying, like, "Hey, you'd say the Normandy's a girl, right? And Edie's a woman, and you're a woman, and Tally is definitely a woman." And Gabby goes, "What's your point?" And Ken is just like, "I'm just saying I'm surrounded. Like, I'm very vulnerable here." And Gabby goes, "You're such a dick." And Ken is just like, "You see where your mind went?"
That's good. I like that. Yeah. In mine, Ken is essentially talking about how he finds Tali attractive, but probably can't hear him with that giant fishbowl on her head. Which, of course, she chimes in at the end saying that she can't hear him clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ken is dumb but adorable. But yeah, this conversation with Tali is just kind of... It's very low-key, especially considering what I was expecting after just rescuing her and bringing her back to the ship.
Yeah. You ask her if she's having any trouble with the ship, and she goes, "Please, Shepard, I'm a Quarian." And when you ask if she has time to talk, she says, she, like, waves you over, and I wrote down, "Step into my office."
Yeah, like she takes you down the walkway towards the actual engine itself.
Cal Rieger will survive, so that's good.
Yep.
Tally says that she likes the quiet, which I think is really cool because in game 1, the quiet made her nervous.
Yeah. She does talk about how, though, she misses the livelier members of the previous crew, like Adams and Presley.
And she also asks us about her decision to work for Cerberus. Are you sure that working for them is the right thing to do? I told her that I don't trust them.
Same. And Tali's pretty much, yeah, me neither.
Like, okay, good. Just making sure. And just having Tali there reminds me about what happened on Horizon. Tali gave you a chance to tell her why you're with Cerberus and what's going on. And she's on your side and she believes you. Just like Garrus didn't really need to hear why you were with Cerberus. He just wanted to know, like, hey, you good? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I appreciate that most of the new crew members that we have not interacted with until they joined us care very little for Cerberus and are more interested in working with Shepard specifically. So I'm inclined to trust them as well. You know, again, the ones I trust the least are Jacob and Miranda because they are Cerberus members, although I'll have some things to say when we get to the tail end of this. But like, you know, whereas everyone else, like they know we're meeting for the first time and they have no allegiances to the humans, so I'm more inclined to trust them as well.
Okay. So, let's talk about this mission. Before we can go to do any other missions, we are told that the elusive man would like to see us in the briefing room.
So we go walk on top of a table.
Well, the table disappears.
It goes into the ground, but we're still standing on the table. I believe that the projection comes through it.
I don't know.
Anyway.
They don't give us a manual on how their space technology works.
True. But yeah, we project ourselves, we beam ourselves to the elusive man. So we can chat with him, and he tells us about this collector ship that's been disabled by a Turian patrol, which we immediately, or at least I immediately questioned.
Yeah, like, how?
Like, it took out the Normandy, one of the most advanced ships out there. How did a Turian patrol take it out?
So he sends us on some data recon.
Yeah.
Who'd you take?
I took Grunt and Tali.
I took Garrus and Thane.
Neither, well, actually, you can't. I was going to say neither of us had the meta thought take Liara. You can't take Liara.
You can't take Liara.
Right. Though, like, my brain is like, Liara would have loved this. We found out so
Liara
much.
would have been so excited.
Yeah. But yeah.
Or depressed. One or the other.
Right. And so, you know, from the minute this mission starts, the minute you arrive on the collector ship, something seems off. It's uneasy.
Oh, yeah.
The music is very low key. This is some of the best atmospheric music in the game just because there's just enough sound work to make you unnerved. But it's inconsistent at best. You know, it's got these kind of weird hollowy warbles that really are just designed to put you off your game a bit, and everything is quiet. There's no one around except, of course, the horrors that we see of what's happened to some of the humans who have been taken.
Yeah, before we get there, as the Normandy pulls up alongside the ship, first of all, wow, it's a fucking big ship.
Yeah.
That's a big-ass ship. How did the Turians take it out, to quote Joker?
Yeah.
That is a wonderful question. Next question. We find out that the drive core of the ship is offline, so we can safely board it. And as you said, it's fucking empty.
Yeah, a giant ass ship with tons of pods like we saw on Horizon, with seemingly either nothing in them or their contents spilled upon the floor.
So one of the reasons why I love Garrus so much is as we're walking through, he just in the background goes, I love what they've done with the place. Like, shut up.
Yeah.
I love you, but be quiet.
Yeah.
You can't make me laugh on a mission.
Yeah. Tali and Grunt were pretty tame, unfortunately, on this mission. Although, like, when we get to the thing I mentioned just a moment ago, when we see the first of the horrors, like, she is completely, like, winded by it. Like, it just takes her off her game completely.
Yeah.
She's horrified, whereas Grunt is kind of just like, that sucks, you know, in his usual Grunt fashion.
When we come across some empty pods, Thane says the collectors used these on Horizon. I wanted to be like, you weren't there.
Yeah, dude, how do you know?
How do you know that?
I mean, yeah, Tali says the same thing, which she would know. But yeah, I mean, knowing Thane, like he would research the hell out of everything, and he's an introvert, so that might be how.
Yeah, maybe. I'm just like, okay.
All right,
Weird
programmers,
flex.
you fucked up.
Freaky flexing, but okay. Also, we find out that this is the ship that we encountered on Horizon, so maybe we'll find our missing colonists. Oh.
Yeah, I have to say, playing this game on the PC, the graphics are obviously better than the Xbox 360, just because you can do that on most PCs. I didn't need that enhanced level of detail.
Yeah.
It's gruesome. It's, it's piles of bodies and body parts. Some of it just unrecognizable. And when you get to it, there's a moment where you can examine it and then talk to your teammates. And Tali is just disgusted and horrified. Like, you hear her voice crack because she's just thrown off by it.
Oh, poor sweet Tali. Tali is too pure for this.
That's true.
I say that no one deserves to die this way. And Garrus says hardly anyone gets what they deserve, Shepard.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember. I feel like Grunt spoke up at that moment for me, but I don't recall what he said. Probably something along the lines of, about how horrible it was. But it definitely wasn't anything memorable, which is fine because, Grunt, his namesake is Grunt. It's not his verboseness that I bring him on the missions for.
So we approach a control terminal and we find out that the collectors are basically like redesigned Protheans. Like, they were genetically modified to become a slave race to the Reapers.
Which, like, as soon as I heard that, my first thought as Shepard was, oh my God, Liara would want to know this. And then my second thought was, oh God, this is terrible. Which you might say that should have been reversed.
Well, you were thinking about your good friend.
I was. Although it's funny because, I remember the first time ever playing this mission, like, I legit thought, like, jump scare horror moment was going to happen and, like, the collector was going to jump up and grab you.
Yeah.
And the fact that it doesn't is well played. But, like, at this point now seeing a essentially dead collector on a slab, like, it's all just gets creepier and creepier.
What new training did you pick?
I picked the shotgun.
I picked assault rifle.
Yeah, as a charging mad person, the shotguns are best for me. Although that shotgun is nothing compared to the Geth shotgun, so I'm not using it anyway.
Yeah, I didn't even want any of it,
Yeah.
and they made me, and I was like, I don't want this.
And then
I just want my pistol.
And then I was annoyed because I thought I was going to be stuck with that loadout. But then there is happenstance a loadout changing machine right there, stacked up with other tech. Which, I mean, I guess it would make sense the collectors stole other tech. And that the collectors clearly have weapons and loadouts as well. And so if this device is designed to store weapons, like, it would work for you just as well, I guess.
So Joker had Edie do another analysis, and we find out that this is also the ship that destroyed Normandy.
Which Shepard immediately goes, okay, it is far beyond coincidence that the same ship that was on Horizon and has been dogging me for over 2 years is the same ship that has destroyed Normandy. Like, there's just no way that this is too convenient to be an actual coincidence.
Yeah. Garrus pipes up again and says, has anyone else wondered why we haven't seen any collectors living or dead? Man, that's all I wonder, my guy.
Yeah, that's literally all I'm thinking about. Grunt pretty much says the something akin to it's too quiet. Which, yes, that's the only thing I've been thinking about since we got on the ship is where the hell is everybody?
So, of course, we walk into a trap.
Well, yeah, and like, not only do we walk into a trap, we walk to a device that has a big, essentially shining red button on it, although green, actually. And I look at that and go, it's a trap. Like, I think even the first time I played this, I was like, this is definitely a trap. There's no way, like, pushing a big red button in a giant empty ship. Tali does make a comment as we're on our way there that that the ship is huge and that there are so many pods, like they have enough pods to target Earth. And like that's
Yeah.
the first time you're given the perspective to think, oh my god, like this is literally to take revenge on the humans. Like it had been, and like we knew that because of the colonies, but like the target is clearly Earth because of how many people they can take onto this ship.
Yeah. It's depressing and scary.
It is. And then the trap happens, and you're on a giant
And
floating
the trap.
platform that you can no longer control.
It's a trap.
And you're yelling at Edie to take control, and she's like, sorry, my dude, I'm downloading data. I got to get this first, and then I can do the other thing.
So one of your squad gets knocked over. For me, it was Garrus.
For me, it's
And the
Tali.
other one-
And then Grunt kindly helping her up, which was like wholesome content.
Yeah, Thane helps Garrus up so gently. I was like, aw, bros.
Yeah, same with Grunt and Tali, which obviously means it's skinning the movement, but still, like, it's so like Grunt helping Tali so delicately also to me projects in game that Grunt respects people of a more fragile form if he respects them, which he obviously does with Tali.
Yeah.
And then combat happens.
Yes, so we get attacked by a bunch of collectors and a couple of scions. One thing that one of the collectors shouts is, preserve Shepard's body if possible. I was just like, fuck that. Destroy my body if that happens.
Yeah, seriously.
Don't let them have me.
A lot of Harbinger talking and assuming direct control all over the damn place. Talking about how things are inevitable and, you know, your form is fragile and essentially quoting
This hurts
Thanos
you.
one-liners at this point. The combat is fine here. I hate being stuck in a place without a lot of mobility because my character is designed for mobility to get in and out, and I can't do that here. So I wasn't having any of it, and I just pulled out the arc projector and blew through my ammo load, taking out everything because I was just so frustrated with the scions and because I didn't have my mobility that I needed.
See, the scions are overpowered. They shouldn't be able to take shields out. That's garbage.
It is garbage. But that said, you know, eventually once you finish fighting the waves of enemies, Edie is able to retake control of the platform that you're on and brings you to a safe drop-off point and pretty much says, with Joker, both of them chiming in saying, hey, they're turning the engines back on, and that means giant effing laser, so you better get back here fast, because I'm not losing another ship.
So a couple of things, a couple of quotes. You say to Edie, like, I knew you could do it. And she says, I always work at optimal capacity.
Like, you know what? You know what I meant.
Also, she lets us know that the Turian distress call was fake.
Right. And the way she tells you is pretty cool. That she pretty much, like, because she says it was a fake, and the elusive man would have known it's a fake as well. And you go, how? And Edie goes, because I use the same programs that he does. He created these programs. So there's no way he didn't know.
Yeah, he wrote the protocol that she found the discrepancy in.
Yeah. And so, which pretty much gives you the opportunity to go, damn it, trap.
Yep.
How dare you? And get angry, which I did.
I have to tell you what Garrus said.
Sure.
And here I thought I had my betrayal and attempted murder for the year. I love my dumb, nihilistic boyfriend.
Yeah.
I love him so much.
Not your boyfriend yet.
It's soon.
Yeah.
Unless Thane romances me too hard.
Yeah. You know what? A side note, clearly I have an affinity for Caden, which is not an option here. I'm not directly pulled to any one person per se. Like I have clear friendship affinity at this point, but as far as romantic involvement, I just no. If something is to develop at this point, it's going to be natural over the dialogue. It's not because I'm seeking it out at this point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been very analytical of my interactions with Garrus to, is this actually, my type? Or am I just playing into the nostalgia? But it's moments like that where I'm like, yeah, I like you. I like you a lot.
So at this point now, after you've gotten that information, you have to rush off the ship, fight more waves of enemies. The combat here is better because you're in the longer hallways, and that allows me to maneuver. Although I'll never get tired of seeing, like, charging in and then out of my periphery, seeing Grunt also charge in and sending a collector flying across the room. It's probably my favorite thing. But yeah, so at this point you have to hightail it, grabbing credits along the way from random computer screens all over the ship.
Yep.
And then you hop in the shuttle. You pretty much hit the back of the Normandy as you like fly into the moving ship as Joker's trying to hightail it.
This is the funniest thing to me because Joker says, like, get us out of here. And Edie goes, specify a destination.
And Joker's like, anywhere but here.
I'm just like, Edie, come on.
And then she engages the onboard Mass Effect drive, which, like, of course ships would have so they don't get stranded. But I had forgotten at this point because in the game, we're always using the Mass Effect. But the fact that ships do have internal Mass Effect cores is pretty neat, actually. And so, yeah, and then we get away. And then what's really great about the briefing after this is that, like, you're angry, but so is Jacob. And, like, at that moment I go, okay. So Jacob's personality, which I'd kind of scoped out at this point, is playing true to his actual character. He's as mad as you are that we got screwed over by the elusive man, whereas Miranda is still kind of stone-faced about the whole thing.
Wait. I don't know what you're talking about, really, because I went straight to talk to the elusive man.
Really?
Yeah. You talked to him before you talked to anyone else.
Oh, that's right. So I'm flipping it.
Okay.
But
that's why I'm confused. I'm like, what are you talking about?
I forgot that you first talked to the elusive man, and then when you come out of the chat with him, that's when everyone reacts.
Yeah. So when I went into this conversation with the elusive man, I had to do some, like, Googling to find out if the thing that I chose to say would actually say what I wanted it to say.
Right.
Because sometimes when you take a renegade line with him, it's like you're being a renegade, but you're agreeing with him.
Right.
And I didn't want that. I wanted it to blatantly be, don't do this again, or I will fuck you up.
Yeah. And the renegade lines here, true to form, are that.
No, it's not. If it wasn't.
Really? I thought it was.
I had to look it up because the thing. So, okay. The elusive man says to you, it was a trap, but I was confident in you. Which, by the way, you lied to me, motherfucker?
Yeah.
Like, why? There's absolutely no point. There's no way I could have tipped them off. Like, that's insane to me. You've invested so much money in me, and you sent me into a trap? That's just absolutely insane. You have no confidence in me that I could, like, sell it that, oh, look at this stray ship that was definitely disabled by Turian patrols. I definitely believe that. Like, come on. I was very angry. So the renegade option was to say never again. And I wanted to make sure that I would not be saying, good call, agreed with it, don't do it again. But it definitely was not. It was definitely saying, like, I never want you to do this again because fuck you.
Yeah, which is the option I chose as well.
Yeah.
I was livid. It's just like, and then after that he goes, like, when you get madder, he's like, but I knew you could do it. That's why I did this. And you're like, son of a bitch, that's not how this works.
That's not how this works. Not how any of this works. Also, he says, this is no time for petty grudges. Fuck you. There's nothing petty about this. We could have died.
Yeah.
Someone from my team could have died because of you.
Yeah.
I'm just angry. And it was all to confirm something he already knew.
Yeah. That we would need something specific to get us through the Omega 4 relay, and that he of course already knows where we can find that thing that he knew we needed already without this information.
I hate him so much.
Yeah. And then after that we get to then discuss with our team everything that went down.
Yeah. Jacob feels like, let's go for it now, while Miranda's like, maybe we should make sure that the team is solid before we do that. And for once, I agree with Miranda.
Me too. But, you know, Jacob does, like, the reason Jacob feels that way is because he's as angry as you are, which, again, like, I had a level of respect for, like I said before, because up until this point, it was really hard to gauge where Jacob was, even though he said he was loyal. But like this shows like he even has his limits, and that made me as a character respect him more in that moment. But Miranda is definitely right. You know, we do need to build out the team, and on a meta level, we know that as well because we have a ton of more shit to do. But yeah, it's and like what's really cool here though about the science though, which Morden fills us in on, is that it's in the galactic core. Which like. And like how it's just series of birthing and destroying stars, essentially constant black holes.
Yeah, black holes, exploding suns. What we think is that there is an identify friend or foe system. So that way, if you have it activated and you go through the relay, it identifies you as a friend, so that way you end up exactly where you need to be instead of going too far and overshooting it and ending up straight into a black hole.
Yep. And so the Elusive Man has told us that there is a Reaper IFF on a derelict Reaper that was being investigated that we can get. And of course, in our conversation with him, when we ask, oh, well, why can't you get it? It's like, oh, because something has mysteriously happened to the scientists. Because of course.
Of course.
Because of course.
You can't send, like, oh God, you can't just send people onto a fucking Reaper assuming that's dead. I'm so mad at him. I hate him so much.
Yeah, he's the worst.
So awful. And that is the collector ship.
Yeah. It is further nails in the already expanding coffin of why we don't like the Elusive Man.
God, I hate him. Okay. You know what? Let's talk about something much more lighthearted and just get rid of this anger that we feel.
Okay.
For Fandom Corner today, I found a Facebook group called Mass Effect Fanfiction Writers, which is an 18-plus group of fanfiction writers to share their work, elicit feedback, and discuss plots and ships. I just sent in a request to join it today, so I'm really looking forward to being part of a group that just loves the same thing that I love and writes about it and creates new ideas and new content for this world that we can't get enough of.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. It's not my thing, but if you can get in and interact with it, that would be awesome. And it's nice to know that it exists for other people who might be into it as well.
Exactly. If you love fan fiction, if you love writing Mass Effect fan fiction, then check out this group. It is literally called Mass Effect Fanfiction Writers. Send a join request. You have to verify that you are over 18 and tell them who your favorite character is. Do you want to guess who I said?
Garrus?
Yeah!
Wow.
Though it was a little difficult because I was like, but that's like choosing a favorite child.
Baloney. You love Garrus the most.
I do love Garrus the most, but I don't want the others to know.
Yeah, well, it's too late. It is not a secret.
I like you best. Don't tell the others.
Look, no one can... Don't you dare talk to me or my lizard son ever again.
So I'm really excited to maybe read some new fanfic, get some new ideas. I still have to finish my tapestries fic.
But that's awesome that you found a community that can help build that. I think that's really neat. And to know it's out there is really great.
Yeah, and that's what Mass Effect is for. Like, for a lot of people, it's a community. It's a place to grow. It's a place where ideas can become something new.
Yeah, I actually, for Fandom Corner, want to mention something briefly.
Fandom Corner Junior.
Well, just because we were both a part of something that I can't listen to all of because it goes into some stuff with the Citadel DLC that we're nowhere near yet, and I haven't played. But Normandy FM wrapped up their Mass Effect 3 playthrough, and before totally wrapping it up and going on to Andromeda, they put out a call to ask for several content creators, fans, to submit how they feel about Mass Effect and why it's important to them. And both MJ and I are on it, and the mix of the quotes is masterfully done. They don't use all of anybody's soundbite. I mean, at least not mine, which I rambled on for, but they cut it together in a really great way. And what's really fascinating about it is that even though many different people spoke on it, we all touched on a lot of the same favorites and important moments or things that made it mean something to us, that made it cut together really well, because a lot of the love of this game series is universal.
Yeah. Also, I think theirs is the podcast that I said that I was going to be on for Andromeda, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to be on Normandy FM to talk about my lizard grandpa.
I don't know what that means.
You don't yet. You're gonna. I'm so excited.
But yeah, shout out to Normandy FM, our brothers in arms. I'm excited to listen to that show in order and get to experience it. But it was really cool to be on that, and with a bunch of other content creators and game journalists that I know personally, I guess, on the internet, like What and John, who are people I interact with daily on Twitter. And so the fact that they are also big Mass Effect fans, which I'm not surprised, and we're on this show also in those clips, makes me feel honored to be among them, because I respect them quite a lot.
Aw. Friendship.
All right, that's enough of that. Do you want to read our review?
Yes, I do. So, as you guys might remember, we had Ursula on from Queer Dungeoneers. She's been listening to us, I think, since almost the beginning. And back in December, she left us a review, but because she lives in Australia, we never knew about it. And I signed up recently for this website that tracks all of our reviews across all domains. So, now I can finally share Ursula's review. Entertaining and thought-provoking. I loved Mass Effect the first time I played it, but this podcast has made me fall in love with the games all over again and made me think about them in new ways. A+++. Cannot recommend more highly. Also, the hosts are lovely and chat with me on Twitter all the time and called me their friend even though we've never met. Crying emoji.
She's too pure for this world.
I love her so much.
She's very sweet.
If I ever meet Ursula, I'm just going to give her the biggest hug forever.
Yeah, Ursula, come to New York and hang out with us. That would be amazing.
You can meet all the cats.
Thank you for that review, Ursula. We adore you, as you know, as we told you when you were on the episode with us. And I love Queer Dungeoneers. I'm moving slowly through it because I don't listen to a ton of narrative stuff or actual play, but I'm really enjoying Queer Dungeoneers, and I'm making my way through it slowly. I think I'm on episode 4 or 5. So awesome stuff. Thank you.
So our next episode is going to be The Gift of Greatness with special guest Chuck Collins, creator of Bounce, the comic. If you like...
Oh, continue, please.
No, you. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say Chuck is an old friend, and I adore him greatly, and I'm very excited he's going to be on the episode.
I like Chuck a lot. My favorite thing about Chuck is when he forgot my name and thought it was Gwen.
Gwen, MJ, I mean, if you're a fan of Spider-Man, it's practically the same thing, right?
But that's why it happened, because I had Gwen Stacy hair.
Yeah, you were blonde back then.
And he called me Gwen. I was like, I'm sorry, what? He's like, oh no, that's not your name.
That's pretty funny.
He was so horrified. It was very sweet and endearing.
So we're embarking on the first of our loyalty missions, and it's for our goodest boy, Jacob.
Is he our goodest boy? I don't know.
Yeah, actually, that's true. The jury's still out. I believe in him a lot more after this mission. But yeah, we're gonna do his the first of the loyalty missions, which will be Jacob's.
Okay. If you like what you heard here, follow us on social media at ReignitePod on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram. You can find us at facebook.com/reignitepod or send us an email at reignitepod@gmail.com. Please rate, review, subscribe on your favorite podcatcher if you can. It helps us get seen so other people can find us.
We are members of the Certain POV Network. You can visit certainpov.com to find a ton of nerdy podcasts, a lot of them done by me or Case, each with a unique point of view. Aha! You can also find...
Yes, I'm a writer, Matt!
You can also find a permanent link to our Discord server on the website, which we would love for you to join in the conversation. I am proud that the Reignite channel is one of the more active channels. It's a blast talking to everybody there.
Before we continue, I write our outro and I have it like as a script, and Matt has never actually read from it. That was his first attempt to actually read the script. And that's why he went, aha!
I mean, also, I like a good pun as much as anybody, so.
Anyway, we have some personal projects we'd like to plug.
Yes. Why don't you go first, MJ?
As you folks may or may not know, I started 2 new podcasts. One is called the Circle of Friendship Podcast, which is at COF Pod on Twitter, which is about the Circle of Magic series by Tamara Pierce, where we discuss friendship, threadcraft, and Briar Moss. I also started a podcast with my friend Alex, where we talk about the works of Rob Thomas. No, not that one. It's called the Rob Thomas, no, not that one, Robcast, at the Not That Robcast on Twitter.
And you would think, as someone who does a podcast with MJ, I wouldn't need more MJ, and yet I do listen to both those podcasts. And actually, as someone who's never read the Circle of Magic books, the way you guys do a synopsis and then discuss it, make it easy for me to engage, even though I don't have time to read those books right now. And so
Oh, good. I'm glad that the synopsis helps.
And so I appreciate that. And the Not That Robcast, I just enjoy it. It's delightful. Right now they're talking about Veronica Mars, and I love Kristen Bell. I would relationship with Kristen Bell if she were a character in Mass Effect, but that's another story.
Before you talk about your plugs, I just want to say one thing. Usually whenever a music question comes up in Not That Robcast, we both say, DJ Stormageddon will correct us. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I feel like you call me out just because you know I won't be able to resist. But
I know.
But that said, you have been correct, as I've done it both times you've done it so far. So
it's happened multiple times, and each time he does not disappoint. Anytime we had a question, Matt was there to answer it. There will be a question in the next episode. Don't worry.
Oh, great. The only thing I'm plugging right now, because I've talked endlessly about the other things I've worked on as I've been working on them for a while, the newest thing I'm doing is I am actually streaming regularly on Twitch. I got a capture card for my Switch and have found new love in streaming that device especially. I've been streaming a lot of Fire Emblem and then Stardew Valley with my good friend Katie Bug. You can go to twitch.tv/DJ_Stormageddon, click the little heart to give me a follow, and tuning in, even if you can't watch the whole time or you mute it in the background while working on other stuff, it all really helps to build out my viewership and become an affiliate so I can actually make a little scratch from it as well. But truthfully, I just really dig interacting with an audience while playing games. Games have always been communal to me, and playing even single-player games while chatting with people has been a lot of fun. So again, you can check that out, twitch.tv/DJ_Stormageddon.
We'd like to thank Christina Spinks for our It's Okay to Be a Marshmallow t-shirt on Redbubble featuring our favorite marshmallow, Kaden Alenko. You can find more of her work at Chaos Does Art on Instagram. And we'd also like to thank David Boyle for designing our logo, which you can also get on a shirt through Redbubble. And Dan Bull for letting us use a Mass Effect rap for our theme music. Don't forget, we're going to be talking about The Gift of Greatness, the Jacob Loyalty Mission next time, and we'll have a special guest. I'm MJ.
And I'm Matt, aka Stormageddon.
We should go.
You're listening to Reignite. I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite podcast on the Citadel.
Welcome to Queer Dungeoneers.
This is an unbearable experience. If someone was listening to this, they would say, this is pure silliness.
I'm going to turn into a really big cow.
Moo.
It is Baramos of the Fourth Circle. Free me from this orb.
Do you have Baramos in your bag?
No?
You can tell me if you've got Baramos in your bag.
No, I've got rations.
You've got Baramos in your bag!
No, I don't.
Nim, what have you done?
Queer Dungeoneers, an actual play podcast about being who you are by being someone different. Get it now!
I am great and nothing can hurt me.